Peace and power. This is Dennis Osar Winkler. You are tuning in for another episode of Post Talk with Dennis Osar Winkler. I have a special guest coming on today, and he is already in the building. Now let's see if I can get this done. All right, he's an expert, and I have none other than a good brother of mine. He's in a place to be. Look like I realize y'all brothers are African centered and all, but it's Valentine's Day, brother Bakari.
What that mean?
hey, y'all want to prove a point, huh? No, peace, brother. Welcome.
Peace and blessings, good brother, man. Good to see you. Good to be on with you.
Yes, sir. Likewise. This is my second Post Talk family. I have a good brother on. So let me just go ahead and first introduce myself. My name is Dennis Osar Winkler. I am trying and I am attempting to really be out here on these IG streets. I had an IG page for some time. And now I'm like, okay, I can see some utility in it. I'm one of those type of guys that I need to find some utilization for a thing. Maybe to an extreme level to a degree, But what I mean by that is sometimes I have to find utility in things, and maybe the utility is just doing, So one of my goals on IG is to kind of post these talks, or just my ideas and my thoughts, let me say that. And what I did is ask people to actually who want to come and talk about the posts that I put out there, to kind of expound on them, to actually come on and let's talk about it. And Brother Bakari is the guest for Post Talk 2. And I would like to ask you, Brother Bakari, if you can introduce yourself to the peoples. Oh, before you say that, hold up. I have a goal. One of my goals is to say, like, share, and subscribe. I don't even know if you can share or subscribe. I don't know how you do it on Instagram, but nonetheless, follow. And like the video, share the video. And as I bring Brother Bakari in, give him some hearts. Family, give Brother Bakari some hearts. Brother Bakari, go ahead and share with the family who you are, and why they need to be listening to this brother.
Well, I don't know if they need to be listening to me, but I definitely appreciate the support. My name Bakari Atiba, friend, brother, community activist. I'm a community liaison and reentry coach with Hope Baltimore, which stands for Helping Oppressed People Excel. And we're doing a lot of work in the community trying to help men and women successfully reintegrate into their communities, into their families after extended periods of incarceration. I'm the community leadership coordinator for Charm City Care Connection, which is a harm reduction nonprofit in East Baltimore. And we in the community working to do, I organize syringe cleanups. We help people connect to different resources that are struggling with substance abuse or just coming out of recovery and need things like housing, clothes, food, whatever it is. We on the grassroots level, on the ground, just trying to make it happen. I'm a life coach, personal development coach, a youth mentor. And that's what I do, man. And just somebody that's out here, just trying to contribute to anything that's positive and just trying to help in any way that I can, to push our community forward.
Okay. You sound like I need to learn that from you. You really dropped a lot in a small amount of time. That's I'm still trying to get you. Notice I still didn't say who the hell I am. I'm Dennis Osar Winkler, and go ahead. What you about to say, Brother Bakari?
I was saying I'm just proud of you, man, brother, because a couple years ago, like, your social media thing was like Flintstones. So, I love to see you posting all the time. We've had these conversations before, and I think you really get this IG or Facebook thing a little better than you think you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did go Flintstone. I was, and I said, hold on, let me pull back. But guess what? I'm getting used to sharing again. And
That's right.
reasons why I'm feeling more comfortable is that I will be graduating from my doctoral program in April. I mean, all the family are invited. It's in Pennsylvania.
Congratulations. Pittsburgh, right?
Say it again.
It's
Right
in
out
Pittsburgh, right?
of yes, a school called Waynesburg, Pennsylvania. I'm getting my doctorate degree in counselor education and supervision. And my research, the dissertation that I'm actually reporting the data on is entitled "Measuring the Relationship of Race-Based Trauma, Black Identity, and Spirituality." And I got some very interesting findings. And you also are welcome to come and check out my dissertation defense. So, nonetheless, let's talk about this post. And again, I put these posts out here, and anybody's welcome to come on and talk about it. You can affirm it, support it, debate it. I don't know if I want to debate, but nonetheless, I will debate, or at least help me think. You might help me think deeper. Maybe I got something wrong. Maybe you can help flesh it out. Maybe you can help me go a little deeper. What have you? Nonetheless, but I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to read the post that I put out that Brother Bakari has responded to, that he said he wants to come and flesh out a little bit more online. And the post is entitled "Charlatan Addiction." And let me say this. When I put that post out, someone inboxed me and asked me, what the hell did I mean by that? Charlatan addiction. They first and foremost, before they wanted to affirm it, they said, I hope you're not coming for, they wanted to make sure I wasn't, they said, exactly, what is it that you mean by that? And I'm not going to say what I meant by that today, because that's the point of this actual talk. I'm gonna let Brother Bakari go ahead and share his words on it. But nonetheless, the brother thought I was coming for the addictions community, but let me say that I am not coming for the community who help our people heal from addictions and so on and so forth. But nonetheless, the title is "Charlatan Addiction." Post talk number 2. A major mental health crisis in our community is charlatan addiction. Many of us believe in those who mean us no good. This then leads to us to struggle to trust those who mean us well. Dennis Assar Winkler. Let me say that one more time. Many of us believe in those who mean us no good. This then leads us to struggle to trust those who mean us well. Dennis Assar Winkler. Brother Bakari, what you got to say?
Well, do me a favor. This is how we're going to kick this off. Do me a favor. Can you give the people on IG, because a lot of people may never heard this concept, this term that we're dealing with. Can you give like a working definition of what a charlatan is?
Okay, what a charlatan is. You know what a charlatan is. Look, I'm asking you what the hell you got out of it. No, but you want me to say what a charlatan is?
Just give them a working definition, and then I'm ready to get to it. We ain't gonna waste no time.
The way that I'm saying in this particular post is that a charlatan is one who presents themselves as one who's coming to help, but in turn they're really coming to defraud. So they present themselves as one that's coming to heal the people, save the people. I can go on, but typically they're very attractive one way or another, and we fall for them, and basically go ahead, Brother Carr. I'm going to go.
Yeah. So, and the reason I wanted to touch on this, because this is an important topic, right? And a lot of times, and I wanted you to give the working definition, because I know when I put it out there, a couple people have reached out to me and were asking, are you talking about leadership? Are you talking about politicians? What are you talking about? And I'm saying that this ideal or this concept of charlatan, it doesn't apply to just any one person in any one arena. A charlatan can exist in your household, right? Yeah. So the first thing that I want to touch on dealing with the charlatan addiction is that we have to be clear and understand that, everybody has an agenda, right? Myself included. I have an agenda for the things that I do. Most of what I do, sometimes I can be lax, but most of what I do is very intentional. It's very purposeful. And in my experience, I understand that everyone has an agenda, right? Now, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, depending upon what the intentions are behind that agenda. Some people have an agenda that truly want to help. They want to serve. You know, they're passionate about seeing other people level up. And that's cool. Some people deal with you because, you know, they might be able to learn something from you, or they feel like they have something to offer you that's going to be beneficial to your growth and development.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody has an agenda. That's not necessarily wrong. The thing is, we have to be careful and be very discerning when we're dealing with people whose agenda can be potentially destructive, harmful, right, towards us and our community. And that's what we're really talking about, and that's what we're really getting into.
So let's dissect it, Brother Bakari.
Huh?
So let's dissect it.
Right, let's go.
So I say again, a major mental health crisis in our community. Some might say, what community? I don't get whatever community you're in, honestly. But in the Black I'm speaking to, in our community is charlatan addiction. Addictive to certain types of personalities. Many of us believe in those who mean us no good. Charlatans are very, very attractive for many of us. Some of us, for the few, I would argue that there's few people who aren't really pulled into to the cloak or the veil, the veil, or that are attracted to these individuals. In fact, they're very charismatic. They're very compelling. They're very, even if they're not as charismatic as everybody else, they find a way to draw you in to help them and their agenda. Many of us believe in those who mean us no good again. This then leads us to struggle to trust those who mean us well. So then, after I've gone through that experience, now I have trouble trusting those because I've been traumatized. Now, that's the thing about being traumatized. The first place is lots of us trauma bond. And what I mean by trauma bond is that for the most of us, especially in our community, I will suggest that we are bonding with, first and foremost, the reason why we're attracted to that lead is because trauma connects trauma. And most people who actually use and abuse people actually have been through some sort of trauma themselves.
Right.
Hence, they attract what one can call codependent people. Go ahead.
Yeah. So you just you unpacked a lot just now, but I want to start off and say that understand that this is a historical reality for us as well, right? So when you study our history, when you study the different levels and the different phases of oppression that we've been through as a people, you got to remember we were programmed to trust and love our enemy while we distrust and destroy one another, sell one another out. Like, this was programmed and indoctrinated into us, right? Systematically through certain forms of oppression that we've been through, and it's carried on and it's manifested in different ways present day in our communities, our families, and in our personal and intimate relationships, right? So one thing that I've come to understand by experience, like, sometimes we gravitate towards those that we feel have certain qualities inside of them that we believe that we're lacking in. Right? So we'll latch on to a person who we believe is strong, but we're weak, and we try to feed off that strength, hoping that we could pick something up from that, or we could benefit from that interaction, while at the same time, our backs are being cut out by the deceptiveness, you know what I'm saying, by the hidden agenda, by the manipulation, you know, so forth and so forth. So what happens is, a lot of times, and I've seen this a lot growing up. The first time I really experienced it, even though I didn't really understand the dynamics of it, was when I was living in California. Like, I spent half my life in California, and I first came across, you know, the charlatan personality and that charlatan addictive mentality when you know, I began to interact with and begin to get exposed to gang culture, right? We see this a lot in street organizations. You dig what I'm saying? You know, a lot of us coming from homes where, you know, the family's discombobulated. You know, the father might not be present. Even the mother might not be present, because we understand like drugs, murder, and incarceration, it's affecting women just as much as it's affecting men. You know, and actually the percentages of women are being incarcerated at a higher rate than males. That doesn't mean that more women are being incarcerated. It just means that their rate is higher than males right now. So we got to understand, like, this is a dynamic that's hitting both of us, and it directly impacts the family and the community, right? So what happens is, you know, we in the streets and we trying to figure it out. We young men, we young women, we don't have an identity. We have a lot of insecurities. We're not really sure of ourselves, and we're trying to find our lane. We're trying to establish our personality and our presence in our neighborhood and our community. And when we don't have the right examples or models in the household or even around us, we latch on to that, which is attractive, but what we feel like we lack it, right? So you see it all the time, like weaker individuals always go towards the strength. And when I'm saying weak, I mean just insufficient in your own mind. You're insufficient in certain areas. So when you see people that have that charisma, you know what I'm saying? You'll always see a shy person around, this person that's really live, right? Like when I was growing up, I had a homeboy that he was the life of the party. He was live all the time. And like we would go out, we ain't even had to say nothing to meet women, because he gonna get out the car, he gonna run up and down the street, meet everybody for us. And we used to like that. So for those of us that wasn't really as outspoken as he was, that was his role. Like that was one of the things that we liked about him that was lacking in us, and so forth. That's just a small example, but a lot of times we gravitate towards those that we feel have certain qualities that we lack, and we latch onto that and try to feed off of that, right? But we never have those discussions. Like we never, like the same way they say that you're supposed to investigate, vet, get to know a person before you get into an intimate relationship with them, before you get married to them. A friendship is a marriage as well. You know, a marriage is a social agreement, a social contract between two individuals or between a group of individuals. That relates to our personal relationships as well. So you and your homeboy, y'all in a marriage. You and your right-hand man, y'all in a marriage. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not a sexual type of thing, but it's still a marriage. You're still unified, whether it's on an energy level, whether it's on a mental level, you know what I'm saying? Or whether it's on a social level, meaning y'all united through, you know, the way y'all behave and y'all act out in y'all neighborhood and y'all community. So in any relationship, we taught that, you know, we're supposed to do some type of investigation. We're supposed to go through some type of sermon. We're supposed to learn a person's energy and character and try to figure out whether or not we're compatible with this person, right? But what happens is a lot of times, especially in our society, we get into friendships and relationships for the wrong reason, and we're not doing our homework.
And
right?
What do
huh?
we don't do our homework, but I want to throw this in here, and I know you're gonna take it and run with it, is that what we do notice things, however, because we do notice the red flags. We do notice that, hold up, this person's nice in front of me, but when I see him behind the door, or I see him change up, I see her change up, I see these things that, you know, they become controlling. They, you know, they start losing their temper really quickly. They're not
but you know what we do?
Outside and the inside. They change up when you're in the smaller groups, then you're in the bigger groups, and all these type of things.
You know what we do? We make excuses for them people, right? And I'm saying this, like when I say we do, I'm including myself. I have actually done this, right? So I might have a homeboy where as though we got a certain type of relationship and he a certain way with me, but then he deal with everybody else another way, right? And it be messed up. And I'll be saying it like, damn, he just did that. And then it's like, you know what? That's my man though. You know, that's my man. He might do something wild and crazy. Yeah, I'm like, yo, that's my man. He ain't gonna do it to me, right? But what we don't understand is when a person is deep into their own psyche, right? When they're deep inside their own chaos and their own madness in their mind, everybody becomes a victim around them, either directly or indirectly. And we make too many excuses for the things that we see in people instead of having a conversation. Right? Don't make an excuse. Have a conversation.
Let me throw this one in there too. Let's keep it real. Once we start seeing people treat people differently, and even if they don't treat us in a bad manner or what have you, that should be a red flag that this person will treat other people, well, first and foremost, they treat people they think important or they can get something out of one way, and they treat other people they feel like unworthy or they can't benefit off another way. That's already a red flag and a half.
And they treat people that they fear a whole nother way.
In a whole
right?
Way.
So you might talk greasy to me, but you won't talk like that to him because you know he's gonna bust you upside your head.
Absolutely.
You dig what I'm saying? So it's a lot of that goes on, and I'm saying our flaws because, like I said, I was also I was victim to this as well. We gotta stop making excuses for the indiscretions and the shortcomings that we see in other people that could be potentially harmful for them and potentially harmful for us. And we need to start having these conversations more. Like a real friendship, a real friend is not going to let you just be out of pocket without saying anything, bro. You know what I'm saying? A real friend, they're going to see certain things and they're going to pull you up. Maybe not in public, maybe not right then, but like, oh, bro, like that was crazy. Like, what was your intention with that? Where was your mind at with that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the energy behind that? Mm-hmm. Like, real friends do that. And we not having those conversations because a lot of times we put what we call love, which is really infatuation. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's a mental infatuation with a person or an emotional infatuation with a person, we put this infatuation before actual building, bonding, and communicating. Right? So we like how a person feel. We like how we feel when we with this person. We like the results that this person is getting in their life on the surface because we don't really know what's going on. We don't even know what they did to get those results. We become infatuated with this, and it blinds us to the things that we should be paying attention to that eventually comes back to stab us in the back.
Okay, let's do this. It feels good. Let's talk about the addiction. It feels good. It feels good. Yeah, it feels good.
Hey, look, that's before a lot of people time, bro. You showing your age now. You
What's that? I don't know. But nonetheless, it feels good. Let's get it. Let's like really frame this. It feels good. Mm-hmm. When they come in your life, they understand where you are a little fragile, where you need some building up. They understand. Mm-hmm. They understand human behavior. They understand insecurities. So they know how to come in, build you up. And I like to tell people, you know, even the devil gives you some sugar. You know, he got to give you some sugar to make you feel good, but have no have ill intent the whole time. So,
yeah, sugar look just like salt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like
till you taste it. Sugar look just like salt till you taste it.
Yeah. And put a little bit of salt on some fries, that tastes good too. But nonetheless, but
that's the balance.
It feels good. They build you up until they have you addicted. Mm-hmm. Once they have you addicted, they have all your secrets. They know all your push buttons. They know all these different. Now imagine why the second part of the post would say, now we struggle to trust those who mean us well because we don't want that to happen again. But the problem is we then become addicted to it. So even if we decide to get out of that type of relationship or situation, we
recreate it again.
But again in someone or someone else. And then those who aren't charlatans or quote, they become what we call boring or because we need that intensity, we need that emotion, we need that feeling. And what happens is they play on our emotional strings, Brother Bakari.
Well, see, you definitely on point. And see, the thing is this, like, again, going back to the homework, right? We weren't really discerning of certain people. We didn't really do our homework, and we didn't pay attention to the red flags when they manifested or showed themselves, right? So then what happens is when we do come across someone that is sincere, when we do come across someone that is genuine, when we do come across someone that is loyal, being as though we don't even know how to do the homework, we can't discern whether or not this person has our best interest or not because we're not in the habit of doing that type of research. We don't know how to discern that. So now everybody becomes the same person or the same personality, just in a different body. So now what we do is we come across this good person, we come across this genuine person, we come across this sincere person, and we project the negative experience that we had with the charlatan into this good relation, potentially good relationship, and we spoil and we ruin that. And then we walk around saying people can't be trusted.
Yeah.
Right? But we're not taking responsibility for the role that we played in that situation.
I don't trust nobody. Ain't that what they say? That's very popular in the community. I don't trust nobody. I mean, that's like a statement that almost gives you like points or something. I don't trust nobody. Only my son. You know, something like that, you know. Go ahead, Brother Bakari.
Yeah. Yeah. And see the thing with trust is this. Like me personally, I trust a person to be who they are.
Oh.
Right? I trust a person to be who they are. So especially somebody in my circle. And I'm saying that to say, like, there's no perfect or flawless individual, right? And you have to be able to discern a person's character, like study a person's character, see how they interact with other people, see how they interact with their family, so forth and so forth, so that you can understand the nature of who they are. And then you trust them based off of that. Right. So I trust people to be who they are. They don't have to be me. They don't even have to interact with people the same way that I do, but it has to be like a common value there.
Speak for you.
You understand what I'm saying?
I beg the difference. I'm a perfectly imperfect person. So you know, you speak for yourself, but
but yeah, so you know, we got to stop having expectations of people that they just not in a place in their own growth and development to live up to those expectations, right? And when we dealing with trust, like, yeah, you might not trust a person with your life, but you should be able to trust them to be who they are. Like, you got to trust them that they're going to be consistent in what they've demonstrated. And then when they're not, that's a red flag, or that's something to look at, or that's a conversation to be had to get an understanding behind whatever inconsistencies or red flags that you might be seeing.
So I was going to ask you the question, but I think I'm going to ask it still. And, you know, I'm going to ask it. I was going to say, so you say, well, we got to do our research. So what are we looking for? What are the signs? Now, I have you know, because I'm more framing in personality. And I think that backs up and supports what you say. Trust a person to be who they are. Go ahead.
Right. So, you know, a lot of times when we meet people, right? A lot of times when we meet people, you know, they put on their best first impressions. Because, I mean, first impressions, they are very important. You know, I think it's still important to be authentic, because if you authentic to who you are, when you meeting a person or when you initiating some type of association or relationship, that person can then choose to either like you or dislike you, to deal with you or not deal with you. But you know, you put your authentic energy to the forefront of that situation or whatever. So when I'm saying do your homework, like, just pay attention to how a person lives. Like, pay attention to how they think. Like, when y'all conversating, listen to what they say out their mind. Identify the values behind some of the things that they say. Pay attention how they deal with their relatives, how they speak about their relatives, how they speak about their parents, right? Pay attention to how they interact with strangers. You know, in our tradition, you know, we're taught to treat strangers like family. You know, pay attention how they deal with strangers. Pay attention how they deal with their peers, or how they talk about their peers that you might not have a relationship with, that they supposed to have a relationship with. You know, pay attention to the consistency of what they say and what they do. You know, all of these type of things, you know, it's so much that you can look at, you know, again, and it comes through the communication though. You gotta be, when I say do your homework too, you gotta communicate. You gotta communicate, and y'all have to be able to interact in what I call spontaneous experiences, things that happen that were unexpected. Like, it reveals a lot to you about a person when y'all go through something that wasn't orchestrated, and you can see how this person responds, you know what I'm saying, or reacts in that situation.
Yes. So that's what you be doing. You be testing them, Brother Bakari.
I don't really test them. I just pay attention. I just pay attention, and I had to, because I've evolved. You know, I've lived and I've thrived in environments where if you don't discern, if you don't pay attention, it could cost you your life. So I've learned to be very discerning, and being a person that has worked you know, to try to help and assist and develop and cultivate and just, you know, guide a lot of young men, you know, dealing with so many different personalities. I had to be able to discern. I had to be able to learn these individuals. I can't help you if I don't know you. Right. And so, and that's what I'm saying about trust. So once I get to know a person, I trust them to be who they are based on my homework and based on what I learned from them. And I know how to interject at certain points to help them get where they say they want to be at for real.
So let's talk about this addiction, you know, and so when I talk about the addiction, right? You know, I think everything you just said, Brother Bakari, is right on. Now, I want to speak about some traits. One of the traits is, not all the time, but one of the traits that you often see that people are grandiose. They're important. They are, you know, they want you, they tell you things like, call me this, and this is how you know, you must call me Coach Bakari, you know.
Yeah.
But Brother Bakari told me he's Coach Bakari, but call him brother. You see what I'm saying? So
that's right.
That's one of those. They're like, no, it's nothing else. Just call me Dr. Winkler. You know, you gotta call me. You have to call me that. You know, there's no other option. That Minister Winkler, call me Minister Assar all the time. All hell rise. You better call me Baba. You better call me Mister. You better, you know.
Yeah.
I'm talking Mister. And some of us can get caught. Oh, you better call me brother. You know, because that's, you know, we get caught up in our grandiosity. I'm important, you know, I'm this, I'm that, but we are attracted to that. We are attracted to people because we feel that grandiosity is a sense of confidence when it's actually the opposite. When it's a level of low self-esteem. And then another thing that another trait in these characters, you know, just think about the president, the other president, 45. He comes across as very confident, and he knows this and he knows that. And then there's preoccupation, and this is the one I'm going to say I find in our community. We are preoccupied with fantasies. Because when you're dealing with a oppressed group of people, you realize that they want something more. They want something great. They're tired of oppression. Or people who have been abused and used and beat down and downtrodden and been through all types of poverty and lack of emotional people in their lives and so on and so forth. So what you do is you sell them a dream. And these people are some of the best dream creators, crafters, but would never, for the most part, would never accomplish them. But the problem is, when I sell you a dream and somebody else comes and say, is that realistic? There's people say, don't you shoot down people's dreams. Now, there's a difference between dreams that have some probability and some dreams that have no it's just an impossibility. Oh, I like that. You know, you know, there's dreams that have probability and there's dreams that are impossible.
But see, that's why a pimp is so successful, right? Because that's what a pimp do. He sell a dream, right? He sells a dream and then he gets his women to invest in him. Right? It's hard to walk away from something that you invest in, even if it's an illusion. And you'll continue to invest and chase that illusion, especially if you haven't been exposed or offered anything else. Right? And that's what a lot of charlatans in our community are. They pimps. Right? They pimp off people's poverty. They pimp off people's trauma. Right? They pimp off people's abuse. They pimp off people's addictions. Right? And they sell them dreams around these flaws and these weaknesses and these shortcomings and get people to invest in them like they God and light or they savior in the flesh. Ooh. And it's hard to walk away from that because that investment is not just financially, that investment is psychologically, because you begin to believe that this person is actually your source of hope instead of believing in yourself. And that's why they pick upon people that have low self-esteem. They pick upon people that have certain issues that make them more susceptible to being influenced and manipulated in the wrong direction.
And guess what else? Those other people around them that are also charlatans. And the reason why they don't disclose or put them out there is because they feel like they will get a come up off of that person. So there's always somebody in the back seat, they call him Judas, looking for to be the next man up. You know what I mean? And hence, they won't tell you about, or they will tell you once they realize they want to dethrone them. But a lot of people out here, it's a racket going on. I've been around lots of communities, different businesses, different things where there's a racket of charlatans. Charlatans, you can also call them narcissists. They typically rise to the top of organizations. Not everybody, but they typically rise to the top of businesses. They typically rise to the front of the class. They are the guy in the class that do all the hell. Okay. You know that the teachers love them. and I'm not saying that, let me back up. I'm not saying I don't feel for these people. Let me back up. I'm not saying I don't empathize for these people, but that does not mean that I won't let you punch me. Okay. That does not mean I'm gonna let you hurt me. That does not mean that I will allow you to continue to cause your havoc in the community. And lots of times, these are the same ones you see in the classroom who gets all of they get a lot of attention from the teachers, because teachers are also attracted to younger people, but they grow up and they still attract people. They just know how to pull people in and also make you feel sorry for them.
But see, also what I've seen before, I've seen this before, and when I seen it, myself being a person that was in a position of leadership for a decade and a half or more, right? Mm-hmm. I seen this before, and it made me self-aware and really evaluate my relationships with the people that trusted me and how I was moving with them. I seen where you got some people that get put in positions of leadership or have positions of leadership, and they start out with the right intention, right? But the people under them are praising them and worshiping them so much, they get caught up in that without even realizing it and become charlatans before you know it.
I challenged that one just a little.
Right. I've seen this, right? And I'm not saying that the potential wasn't already there, but I've seen it because I've actually had brothers that I was trying to work with, and it's all this praising and all of this stuff. Like, oh, brother, like, what I'm saying? We the same. Like, I just came across something before you, so now I'm making sure you got it. Now that I got it, like, no, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna get caught up on the titles. You know what I'm saying? The titles are there for structural purposes. You know what I mean? But we're gonna deal with each other like men, equal men. You know what I'm saying? On the same playing field. The same way that you stand on post. If nobody shows up, guess who will be on the door? Bakari will be on the door, and one of y'all will be teaching the class. Like, we're not gonna do that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And when you're in a position of leadership, you know what I'm saying? Even in your own household, you just gotta be careful of unhealthy praise and worship coming from people that follow you or you have influence over. Because if you're not self-aware yourself, I've seen where it goes to some people's head, and then they start developing a charlatan mentality, and the people develop a charlatan addiction right underneath of that.
I would say their personality was already there. The opportunity presented itself. Because
I could go for that for some people too.
Now, the reason I'm saying that is that on a very basic level, when we look at personality, people just don't become, people who are empathetic are empathic or empathetic. You just don't lose it. You know what I mean? People who feel entitled already felt entitled. Like even though it didn't present itself, it's hard for a person just to switch on a personality level. And if they do, I'm not gonna say we don't have our bad days. We have our bad days. Of course, we can all become like whatever, one day and just be frustrated and but for the most part, people are, as you said, trust them. When they show you, tell you who they because people like for example, I already that personality tells me that 10 years from now, you'll be the same guy, Brother Bakari. Now, you might change and shift and grow and become a little bit more of this, but you ain't going to become like this. You might become like this and this and this and this, but you're not going to go like this. Bam! That's very hard. That imagine you just becoming one who's going to manipulate people for if it is already there, if you will. Now, but if it's not there, it's not there. Because there's a mindset, there's a framework, there's a lot. Like, it's hard for me to have to want to abuse somebody. You know what I'm saying? I can't
Yeah.
imagine, like, like trying to get over on somebody hardly. You know what I'm saying? I can't, it's just not there. If I got over on you, I didn't mean it. I apologize.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. But in their minds, you meant it. You know what I mean? It's hard. But yeah, man. And the reason I really wanted us to touch on this is really for self-awareness purposes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm the type of person, I always believe that, even when we identify certain personalities, even when we identify certain things that are potentially destructive in our community and in our society, I believe that those things are reflections of the individuals that make up that community and society. So I always like to look inside, right? So when you posted this, the first thing I did was I started looking at myself, right? I started looking at myself. I started doing some self-reflection of, my years and positions of influence,
Mm-hmm.
of positions of leadership. I started looking at my current relationships now, just to make sure that I am as sincere and genuine in my dealing with other people that I believe myself to be, because what we actually believe about ourselves and what we doing in reality don't always add up, right? So, and I did that, and I wanted to have this discussion because I want all of us to kind of look at this discussion, look at the things that's being said and thrown out there, and do your own evaluation of yourself. Do your own evaluation of your relationships, right? Do your own evaluation of your role and, the energy that you bring to your job or to your business or, whatever. Like, I want us to be able to take this and look at this because, it always starts with self. Right. And if you're in a situation where you're being abused and you're addicted to a charlatan, I want you to be able to look at that and at least know. Right. Once you can identify things, you can begin to take the steps, to address it if and when you're ready to. Right. And if you're in a position of leadership and you might not be as sincere and genuine as you should, you know what I'm saying? I always believe the best in people. I hope that you could really look at what you're doing for, and and make those adjustments so that your people can benefit more from your personality and the energy that you bring into what you do.
I would say if the person had that level of introspection or had that ability to say, is that me? hold on, hold on. Let me think about it. Do I fit this? That right there would denote that there's possibility that they're not that. That more than likely, because most people don't even have that point. Who would fall under the category of a charlatan. Their mind has all its maneuvers and ways to say, nah. I'm not even going to entertain that because I'm so grandiose that what the hell. I mean, people are my tools.
Yeah.
That I mean, literally, people become their tools. So it becomes a certain level of entitlement. Though they deserve that. We can go back to even when we talk about oppression and slavery, and so there was a certain mindset that said these people are going to be my tools.
Mm-hmm.
Children are going to be my tools. Now, the rest of society who becomes co-opted, maybe they're not the ones, as Dr. Amos Wilson, not Dr. Amos Wilson, Dr. What's the brother, the psychologist, educational psychologist, Dr. Asa G.
Hillard?
Yeah. He says that, there's the creators of game theory, there's the creator of the games, and then there's the pawns or the pawns in the game. Or there's the puppet and then there's the puppeteer, the puppet and the puppeteer. So then some of us look like, act like, behave like these people, but we're really just following the program. We're following indoctrination that this person has put forth or people have put forth.
So let me ask you a question, good brother.
No,
like
not
in this
charlatan. Go ahead.
Oh no, I've dealt with you enough. I think I know, I discern your spirit pretty well, right? But my question is this, like, what would you offer for people that watch this, people that view this? Like, what would you offer them in terms of advice, right? Simple advice or beginning advice on what can they do to learn how to trust people that discern people, and then learn how to begin to develop a certain level of trust for people in their lives that really mean them well?
Wow. Okay. Good question. I think you kind of started it, you framed it for me. And what I mean by that is, first, you have to learn to identify. That's why I'm saying it's so important that we understand personality. And part of the reason why we stay in these relationships many times is because we think people are going to change. And that's why I'm saying, hell no, 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 no.
Mm-hmm.
It's about this much percent. It's about this much percent that a person is going to just change. What we do,
Mm-hmm.
see the possibility, we see the potential, and we stay in these relationships. Oh, he has the potential to be the next black this. He has the potential to be a good husband. She has the potential to be this. She has, so we stay in these relationships from the house to the, to the nation, and we think how these people are going to change and do better. The reality is, with that brother, that last president is going to be like that for the rest of his life. And I'm using him because it's easy, but there's people in our communities that find themselves in leadership positions, if that's your house, or that's in the state house, or if that's in the penthouse. They find those positions. And brother, I'm suggesting that we identify these things and we understand human personality. The only way that person is going to change, and not much, they're going to have to manage. They're going to have to they're going to have to find out that it's not really hurt, because they're self-centered. They have an undeveloped ego. So so fragile, there's a lack of insight. So I have to understand that these people are going to hurt me. I see the potential. I talk to so many people every day, and they just say, if he or if she or if he could just get this part right. And the reality is highly unlikely. I don't mean to be doomsday, but the first thing is, so what I'm saying is, learn how to choose the relationships you get in. Choose leadership correctly. I don't if it's your husband, your wife, your preacher, your whoever, your teacher, your whatever. Learn to choose by understanding personality. There's the people. It's a just look. I'll say, if you want to learn to identify, look up things like narcissistic personality, and really understand that many of us really are dealing. If we're not dealing with it on a clinical level, we're dealing with it on a trait level. And what I mean by traits, there's something called traits, and there's something called states. See, let's say a state is, I'm depressed, or I'm frustrated, I'm tired, I'm going through some trauma. Now I'm doing things that I wouldn't normally do. Then there's that's a state. But then there's something called traits, and this is, I don't care what time it is, this person's doing it because they can do it. This is what they do. As a trait is a part of them at this point. They're not doing it out of a necessity or need or what have you. This is just who they are. So learn personality and learn that how personality just doesn't change and shift and mold. And that's why we keep getting these relationships, going through this cycle of this romance cycle that some people call it, this love bombing cycle where they never resolve issues, but you get back into it. They make you feel good. They tell you how you're the best. They treat you out on Valentine's Day. I'm messing around. but they do all these things that make you feel good more than the person is going to be balanced, fair. Stop allowing your senses and your emotions to forego the other stuff. You see it, you notice it.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So first of all, identify. Secondly, in our community, I would suggest groups like we have here at TNAT. We talk about these things all the time. I would say talk to a therapist. I would say talk to Brother Bakari, a life coach who can identify these things. Drop your information right here, how they can talk to you first right now.
All right, I got you.
No, just how can they verbalize it?
Oh, sure. You can shoot me an email. My email is empowercoach, INPOWER coach20 @gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook and IG. You know what I'm saying? Bakari Atiba, my name. Reach out to me, send a message. I always respond. Just give me a day or two. I always respond, you know, and I'm available.
And then we have to realize how we're in codependent relationships. And that's what I'm calling the addiction. I'm so addicted to the parts that I like about these people or person, this person, that I forego and I look past all the trauma that they put me through. In fact, that at some point you begin to believe that you're the problem because that's how manipulative they are. Oh, I wasn't, I didn't try hard enough. I didn't pray enough, or I didn't bow down enough, or I didn't say this right, or I didn't do that right. And they find a way to help you or allow you to make you believe that you're the problem. That's called gaslighting circles.
Yeah, they teach you. Look, they teach you how to cope with the trauma that they're inflicting upon your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
and we gotta, like, listen, like, we gotta be careful of that, and we gotta learn how. So, brother, like, what's the signs? Like, how do we identify a charlatan? Like, what are the signs and characteristics of a charlatan so that people clear?
Okay, so I'm gonna go back over again. You see grandiosity, right? You see that they're very confrontational. Most of them. Some of them actually present themselves as non-confrontational and as humanitarians until you get them in the back room, you know. But that you cannot challenge them. So if you're around me, you ain't gonna last. Charlatans don't last around me. That's why the numbers are kind of low. Because the thing is, we have very the esteem level is low. I can't take you challenging me. I can't take feedback or critique. Again, I have grandiose ideas, and realize that these ideas are attractive, and I keep switching ideas. I can just go from here. I change my name a lot of times. It's all types of, I don't never give you my real name. I got 5 aliases. You know, some people are more clean than that, but it's so much around this idea that the number one thing is they make you feel like nobody's ever made you feel before. You said it earlier. They make you feel like I'm going to protect you and I'm the way. It's like,
because a lot of times
I'm in a gang culture, you know, like I'm joining the gang because I want to be protected. That man right there, he got the biggest guns on the block. So go ahead.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. It's the way they make you feel. A lot of times a charlatan will make promises to you that they never keep, but they'll keep you in that cycle of promises. So, like, look, it didn't work this, but this is what we're going to do. This is what I got for you. This is what we going at, right? You putting in the work. Like, the charlatan to sell you a dream, a hope, a fantasy. You'll put in the work for it, and they'll take the credit for it, right? That's another thing about a charlatan personality. They'll be getting all the praise and the credit for the work that's being done while the people on the ground, they struggling, right? They busting their backs. They the ones making the machine move, but they not getting no recognition. I'm not saying that people do it for recognition, but that's a cruel thing to, you know, have a person working on a vision y'all supposed to share, and they never get credit for that. You know what I mean? Charlatans talk about other people to you behind their back. Right. They're talking to you about somebody else. So don't believe that they're not talking about you to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So
make it clear, because everybody be talking about everybody, right? But there's a different type of talking about. They're trying to pin you.
I'm talking about bad mouthing. I'm talking about bad mouthing behind your back.
And they make you think that person's coming for you, and that you know, they try to make you feel like you're the next one up, but that person's trying to be the next. They triangulate and make you feel like you have these people that you know. There's a difference to say, well, you know what, brother Bakari, I'm a little worried about such and such, man. What do you think about that? But it's different. They come in, they start telling you, look, I think he wants your wife, and you know, like, you know, all types of.
No, real talk, because I've actually met people, right, in my journey. I've met people, and we've spent some time together, started developing a relationship, and they'd be like, dang, bro, you not such and such, or you not a narcissist, or you not X, Y, Z. And I'm like, damn, where you getting that from? Oh. You know what I mean? like, yeah. So, yeah, it happens. I've been a victim of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the word was in the street to me. They told me, look, stay away from that brother, you know. But they don't know, you know. I built inside. Me and you had time to collaborate, and to be honest with you, the sign that no, for me to know that you're not that, and no, of course, none of us are void all the. Some of us have traits and things of that nature, right? Like character leadership, they tend to sometimes have some level of charisma or what have you. That doesn't mean you're a charlatan, right? You know, because you can't tell them hearts was coming up, bro. Them hearts was coming up. But just because of charisma doesn't mean they're a charlatan. But what I will say is this brother, if he first and foremost, he stayed on his conversation. I said, hold up, Bakari. Like, I don't know if I agree with that. And he didn't go crazy. That's one sign. Now, he might not like it, but he like, look, all right, well, I'll let him have that one. You see, they ain't gonna let you have it for the most part.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna. This brother, I officiated his wedding. You know, brothers, when they got all the information he got, they ain't let nobody do that. I'm gonna do my own wedding. In fact, I just saw a brother up in Delaware. He's a prime example, who did his own wedding ceremony and with 2 women because, you know, he's the man. But nonetheless, it's 8:56, brother Bakari. Closing words, brother.
Closing words. Listen, understand, like, this is for everybody that's viewing. Understand that you are the most important person in your world. And when I'm saying that not to say that you are more important than anybody else, but for yourself, you are the most important person in your world. Love yourself. Know that there's potential in you. Know that there's a greatness in you. And know that no matter what you put your mind and your heart to, you can accomplish it, right? You don't have to be codependent upon anybody. It's a difference between codependence and interdependency. And I hope that we can all become interdependent, meaning we can learn how to work together, how to add on to each other, you know, how to hold each other accountable with the best intentions so that we can grow, we can evolve, and we can share love amongst each other as a community. But just know your greatness, man, and know, you know, you're the most important person in your world. Take care of yourself. Everything else will fall in line.
Man, you dropped out. I got like goosebumps and all types of stuff going on. I'm like, man, that was like, whoa. There's a difference between codependency and interdependency. Oh.
Yes, sir.
And so what I would say to that, man, that was powerful. And codependency, again, because the charlatan, I'm just going to close out with this.
Yes, sir.
Great job of creating the problem. I'm not saying the problem ain't out there, but he will or she will manipulate that problem and say, I'm the one with the answer. You have to, so you become dependent, addicted. So again, family, I'd like to thank Brother Bakari, Coach Bakari, for coming on. Check the brother out.
Thanks for having me, good brother.
All that type of thing. And in closing, I'm going to close out the way I started. A major mental health crisis in our community is charlatan addiction. Many of us believe in those who mean us no good. This then leads us to struggle to trust those who mean us well. Learn to choose, learn to know when you've been abused, and realize that personalities just don't switch. If the person needs so many things, that they're gonna have to go do that on their own, because as long as you're there, you will. As long as they feel like they need you, they will drain you dry. Until next time.
That's right.
Peace and power.
Peace.
Thank y'all for joining in. Thanks, Brother Bakari. Talk to you.
Yes, sir.